Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda, and welcome to our channel. Liberals erupted in fury at the White House over the end of the eviction moratorium, and it does look like President Biden caved. I'll give you all the details. Also, some explosive new comments from various politicians, including the president, who said, I quote, "The Republican Party today offers nothing but fear, lies, and broken promises." Let's just jump right in, everyone. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda. This right here is a little bit of information about me. You'll learn more about who I am, what my journey has been like, and why you should listen to me. Let's just jump right in. As Florida hits another record as far as COVID hospitalizations are concerned, the Republican Governor Ron DeSantis defends the unvaccinated who are getting sick. He says this, I quote, "I'm sick of the judgmental stuff. Nobody's trying to get ill here." Let's roll the tape and hear from Ron DeSantis. Let's watch.
We obviously have some people that are not vaccinated that have been admitted to hospitals. Are you going to sit there? Are you going to sit there and criticize, or are we going to try to treat and try to help the folks? You know, I'm just sick of this I'm sick of the judgmental stuff on some of this stuff. Nobody's trying to get ill here. Okay, it's a very there's people that were hermits for a year and a half that wore 6 masks and did that and still contracted it. Okay, so let's just be real here, and let's not indulge these things that somehow it's their fault for not doing it. So okay, we'll see you guys later.
And if you thought that was interesting, here's another quote from Ron DeSantis, who essentially criticizes the president because the country is experiencing record COVID hospitalizations. He says this, I quote, "Why don't you do your job? Why don't you get this border secure? And until you do that, I don't want to hear a blip about COVID from you. Thank you." Wow. Let's roll the tape and hear from Governor Ron DeSantis. Let's watch.
Why don't you do your job? Why don't you get this border secure? And until you do that, I don't want to hear a blip about COVID from you. Thank you.
And folks, as all of this is happening, the Republicans are ramping up the pressure on the White House. This is a quote from the Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell. "We know what's coming next. A $3.5 trillion reckless tax and spending spree. The absolutely worst thing we could be doing in our country right now is playing Russian roulette with this economic recovery." Let's roll the tape and watch.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. We know what's coming next. $3.5 trillion reckless tax and spending spree. The absolutely worst possible thing we could be doing in our country right now. Playing Russian roulette with this economic recovery, which has already been threatened by this raging inflation created by the rescue package earlier this year. These taxes are going to hit the country really hard. There was a Wall Street Journal article a couple of days ago featuring a landlord in my state who had been investing over the years in rental property in order to guarantee his retirement. This would affect, under these capital gains increases that they have in mind, it basically would cut his assets in half. In half. This is a devastating proposal, whether it's corporate tax increases, pass-through tax increases, capital gains tax increases, stepped-up basis, an absolutely devastating blow to our economy at the worst possible time.
And folks, there was a lot of liberal backlash against the White House over the end of the eviction moratorium. In fact, Congresswoman Cori Bush, who's a Democrat, spent 5 sleepless nights protesting the expiration of the federal eviction moratorium until the Biden administration finally caved. This is what the White House spokesperson Jen Psaki said. She said many were moved by the protest from Congressman Cori Bush, but she praises Speaker Pelosi's, I quote, "impactful and influential weekend phone calls." Let's roll the tape and watch.
What role did Congresswoman Bush's protests play? A number of Democratic leaders were giving her a lot of credit for raising the issue. I know the Vice President spoke to her Monday. What role did that play in the ultimate decision of the White House to move forward with the new order?
Well, I don't think anyone could hear Congresswoman Bush's own personal story and experience and see her advocacy and her passion and not be moved by that. I know a number of members of Congress were moved by that as well. What I will tell you is that the president had a number of calls with Speaker Pelosi over the weekend. Her advocacy, her commitment to looking to see, kicking every tire, just to go back to the analogy of yesterday, to see what was possible is something that was certainly impactful and influential with the president. But I would just reiterate that the president called for the extension of the moratorium back in January. CDC extended it 3 times. We also have spoken to this over the course of the past several months, and we've been in close touch with a range of members of Congress. So absolutely, the passion, the advocacy of a number of members is something that I think everybody watched closely, but I think it's important to note that we all shared the same objective and have from the beginning.
In the meantime, folks, President Biden said this at a recent virtual fundraiser. I quote, "The Republican Party offers nothing but fear, lies, and broken promises. We have to keep cutting through the Republican fog that the government isn't the problem and show that we the people are always a solution." Let's roll the tape and watch President Biden. Let's watch.
The Republican Party today offers nothing but fear, lies, and broken promises. We have to keep cutting through the Republican fog that the government isn't the problem and show that we the people are always a solution.
And folks, here's the headline of an article on your screen from the Washington Post. Liberals erupt in fury at the White House over the end of the eviction moratorium. Clearly, a lot of liberals were very, very angry, very upset at the White House over the end of the eviction moratorium and the fate of the entire Democratic agenda. In fact, all of that was in a state of upheaval because many Democrats were upset with the president, specifically left-leaning Democrat. In fact, Congressman Pramila Jayapal, the Democrat from Washington, said, I quote, "It's a little too late. The White House did not handle this well. I think they did not think about this eviction moratorium in a serious way." And this is what she also said. I think that, every relationship needs tending. The president has also told me a couple of months ago that he was looking forward to meeting with the Progressive Caucus, and we are still waiting for that to happen. So what happened? The president did indeed cave. Here's the headline of an article on your screen from Fox. Biden administration announces new targeted eviction moratorium for many renters. So the eviction ban now expires on the 3rd of October. So what is essentially happening? Officials at the Center for Disease Control and Prevention drafted a new eviction moratorium aimed at protecting tenants in counties with, I quote, "substantial and high levels of community transmission of the pandemic." And this, by the way, affects roughly 90% of the U.S. population. Here's a quote from the CDC Director, Dr. Rochelle Walensky. "The emergence of the Delta variant has led to a rapid acceleration of community transmission in the United States, putting more Americans at increased risk, especially if they are unvaccinated. This moratorium is the right thing to do to keep people in their homes and out of congregate settings where COVID-19 spreads." So, folks, this is exactly what's happening. And Jen Psaki, the White House press secretary, said that the administration was considering installing, I quote, "a partial, limited short-term extension," although she said no decisions have been made finally yet. And President Biden said there can be no excuse for any state or locality not accelerating funds to landlords and tenants that have been hurt during this pandemic. The idea is to make sure that neither tenants nor landlords are actually hurt. And finally, folks, here's a very interesting video clip from Frank Thorpe, who's a producer and off-air reporter covering Congress at NBC News. Bernie Sanders was greeted by Congressman Cori Bush and Congressman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez at their demonstration outside the Capitol, advocating for an extension of the eviction moratorium, which, by the way, all that pressure on the White House led to the White House doing something about it. Let's roll the tape and watch Bernie Sanders with Congressman Cori Bush and Congressman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Let's watch.
How you doing, Jim? Oh my God! All right. What do I deserve? Now, 2 beautiful women here. It's my lucky day. That's why I left the Senate. We don't do this. Oh my gosh! How you guys doing? Hang it in.
I know. It's not easy, Bernie.
It's not easy. All right, the budget resolution to be up as soon as it's.
That's it, everyone. Please click the like button. Please click subscribe. Please enable notifications. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time. This channel is about the country, the economy, as well as our money. I want you to know I work very hard on this channel every single day, and all I ask of you is you please click the like button, please click subscribe, and please enable notifications. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Oh, before I forget, here's my Twitter handle. Our Twitter handle is ignition_time. Please follow us on Twitter. You'll be able to keep up with all the latest news stories on Twitter and interact with me as well. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.